Hi everyone, I think I'm live and welcome to this session. I'm Johanna and I work as a product manager here at Eletive. And I hope you've had a great day so far together with us here and that you have the energy to stay for a few sessions more. So today we're going to talk about from transactional to transformational engagement. And I've spent the last few years building tools that help organizations measure, but also understand and improve employee engagement. And today I will guide you through, and maybe for some of you, I think here, a fresh perspective on engagement. And about that, there is an active poll going on, and I think you can reach it to the right on your screen. So please don't hesitate to answer that, and we will come back to the results shortly. And as you probably know by now, there is also a chat to the right of your screen that you can use, and I will ask you to use it during the session. So I can see some poll answers coming in, and that's great. So please continue to answer the poll. Let's see, we will move on. Okay, so a little bit about me first. I'm based in Malmö, Sweden, where I live with my husband and my kid. So when I'm not at work or at the playground, as you can see, I enjoy working out or I do different crafts like knitting or pottery and silversmithing. I have a background in biology, physiotherapy and health tech. And I was a physiotherapist before, and I worked in a primary care setting. So I was helping patients with back pain is a really common issue, but also sport injuries and work-related pains or issues. But as you can guess, now I'm more on the proactive side of things. I'm helping organizations prevent, for example, work-related issues in some way, at least the way I see it. So I get to work with the aim of people feeling good, and that's what I was working with before as a physiotherapist as well. So the agenda for this session today is that we're going to go through briefly the history of engagement. We're also going to talk about the definitions as I've asked in the poll as well, the transactional versus transformational engagement approach, the differences. We will also talk about the science of engagement, and I hope it will all tie together. And in the end, we will also go through techniques for making the shift. We might have time for a Q&A. We'll see about that. But I have a question for you first. So if you could change one thing about how your company works with engagement today, what would it be? And if you want to, feel free to share it in the chat. I think we would all be interested to see what we're want to change or what we're seeing as struggles or opportunities with engagement. So as you do that, I'm going to talk briefly, as mentioned, about the history of engagement, just to lay a foundation for all of us to build upon and go forward, knowing what we know together in this room. So, in 1990, William Kahn introduced the term or the concept of employee engagement. So he explored how people can bring their whole selves to work, or the opposite then, or not. So Kahn identified 3 different dimensions of engagement. So the first one we have is the physical one, being described as flying around at work, you are bringing energy with effort and purpose. The second one was the cognitive engagement, so understanding the why and how, and feeling of being capable and creative. As for the third one, the emotional one, that was more defined as feeling safe, connected, and valued. And engagement is all 3 of this. It's a psychological state, which includes things like motivation, commitment, mood, and behavior, but not only. So Kahn laid the foundation 30 years ago, but over 30 years later, if you fast forward to today, many companies still struggle to define or act on engagement. So I wanted us to have a look at where we are today. So results from a survey where over 100 organizations took part. It was organizations of different sizes and in different parts of the world. That showed that only 90% said that their organization has a dedicated strategy. 31% in the survey said there is no strategy, and 2% didn't know. And just an hour ago, or about an hour ago, the Gallup 2025 report, State of the Global Workplace, landed in my email inbox. And that was stating that in 2024, the global percentage of engaged employees fell from 23% to 21%. So it has backed. And engagement has only done that, like backed or fallen twice in the past 12 years. So it was in 2020 when COVID-19 hit, and also now then in 2024. And we need to change this, right? So with so few organizations having a clear strategy, and obviously engagement seems like it's backing in the world, I think it's no surprise that engagement efforts can feel scattered or hard to tackle. But there are different ways to approach engagement, and they aren't all equal. Next, we're going to jump into the different levels of approach that can shape how organizations think and act on engagement. So I think we could take a look at the poll before we dive into the two levels of approach. Yes, can we see results here now as well? Yeah, I think we can. So we have around, let me see, they're actively, so as you're answering, it's also updating. So you can see the results on the screen. I think that is easier. But we have some, around 20%, that have never heard about the concept or the difference between transactional and transformational engagement. It's increasing as we look at it. We have around 50%, a little bit less, that say I've heard the terms, but not sure what they mean. We have around 25% saying I know the basics, and no answers on I understand it well and use it in my work. And that's great. And I think no matter where you are on this scale, and please continue to answer as well. But I hope the following will connect the dots and also maybe flip how you think about engagement. And also for you that knows a little bit around it, the basics, it might give you just a clear overview or a touch up on all things you already know. So two levels of approach. In the Engaging for Success study by MacLeod and Clark, two levels of engagements were defined. So it was level 1 was called transactional engagement, or the transactional approach rather. And the level 2 was called the transformational engagement approach. So let's dive into these two and what they mean shortly. I'll just get the technique with me. So transactional versus transformational engagement. So first, let's look at the transactional that I also talked about being the level 1 engagement. So it's characterized or defined with, let's see, one-off surveys, meaning that it's often annual or even more seldom. It is also defined by being reactive, HR-led. It doesn't take specific needs into account, but uses generic actions. Success is measured by response rates or service scores, mainly or only. And the improvements are short-lived. So they are more on the temporary side of things. And they can create, of course, frustration among employees that, oh, we had this annual survey. Now we're waiting for the actions to happen, and then we're going to act upon it, and then we want to see improvements, but the lead times are so long. So it creates frustration that we're answering surveys, but nothing happens. But if we look to the transformational one, it is defined a bit different. So the feedback is ongoing. For example, it can be pull surveys, so you are more often gathering feedback, but it doesn't have to be. It can be other areas as well, or other methods. It's more proactive. It's also data-driven, and it's also collaborative. The ownership is shared across teams. And the strategies are tailored, so they are specific to the team or individual needs. And the success is measured not only in service score and response rates, also that, but like you take it one step further. You want to have success is measured. What I want to say is success is measured by long-term cultural change. You have improvements in culture, you have improvements in retention and employee satisfaction. And it was described so in this report, it was described not only as two different approaches to engagement, but also like two different mindsets to engagement. So the two different mindsets are programmatic approach or the programmatic mindset, which equals then the transactional, as we saw on the other slide. And the philosophical approach, it equals the transformational approach. So I'll try to paint a picture here with the help of my PowerPoint. So the programmatic approach means that engagement has a start and an end. The engagement survey highlights areas in need of action. The action plan is created, and then the actions are ticked off the list. And engagement is basically done and forgotten about until next survey. It's a checklist item. We've done the engagement survey. We're done with engagement. Whereas the philosophical approach, engagement is continuous. So insights are gathered all the time, or regularly at least. It is acted upon and embedded into the culture and strategy of the organization. And it becomes not just how the organization operates, but it becomes how the organization operates and not just a project. So yeah, what I wanted to say here is that the programmatic approach is more a project, and the philosophical approach going around, and it continues, never ends. It's something always in the focus. So this is not in the report, but when I thought about it as a scale, or like when it comes to engagement, it's not black or white. I mean, life rarely is. It's usually a balanced perspective, or somewhere in the gray scale where the truth lies. So I think most organizations fall somewhere along a scale of maturity. It's not that you're only transactional or only transformational. I think you might have a bit of both, and also are on different places in the journey towards a transformational level. So in organization number one here at the scale, it more towards the transactional. It is, or let's say, how would it look like in that organization? Well, engagement would be HR's job. Employees might fill out the survey once a year and then hear nothing back. And managers don't have the tools or the ownership to act on the results. And it feels like a project and not a shared responsibility, something that we want to do or we want to change. And you might hear, as I was speaking about a little bit earlier, that employees said, we did a survey, nothing happened, or we did a survey, something might have happened, but it takes so long time to see progress. But if you look at organization number 4 here, more towards the transformational part of the scale, it's a different story. Engagement is part of the everyday culture. Managers lead the way. They've been trained. They know how to create safe, motivating environments for the employees. And the listening is ongoing. People feel heard. And they see things actually change all the time, not just maybe once per year. And it's a place where trust runs deep and everyone plays a part. Everyone has a responsibility. So yeah, where would you place your organization on this scale today? And that's for you to think about. So why does it matter how we approach engagement, whether it's transactional or transformational? Well, to me and to a lot of research out there, engagement isn't just about checking boxes. It's about meeting core human needs at work. And I think in an earlier session, it was talked a little bit about the younger generations. And so they are entering the workforce and they are changing the game as well. They expect purpose, regular feedback, and a sense of involvement, not just a paycheck. And for them, it has been shown that it is very important to feel part of something meaningful. And this is exactly, or kind of, well, almost exactly what transformational engagement supports. It's this real dialogue, shared ownership, continuous growth, rather than check the box initiatives or only having, or for employees to only have a voice once per year or maybe even more seldom. So when we build these workplaces that support the needs, both culture and business outcomes improve. Because engagement matters. My colleague Niels, if you saw that session, spoke about this in a session before lunch. He was mentioning that engagement impacts everything. And yeah, if you saw that session, that's a great deep dive. This will be a bit more on the surface. But the truth is that engagement drives business outcomes. We know this through a bunch of research on the subject. Engaged employees don't just feel better, they also deliver better. And the data is clear. Having an engaged workforce increases sales and margins. It increases customer satisfaction. It also decreases mortality in a healthcare setting, for example. It increases performance, but at the same time, it also decreases errors in manufacturing, for example. It increases creativity and leads to better retention and well-being. So, why is it that engaged employees go the extra mile? Why do they work harder, produce better results, are more innovative, and outperform those employees who are not engaged? So what I'm asking is, why is it that engagement drives results? Let's take a look at the science behind. But I can tell you already, it's not just about behavior. It starts with how people feel at work. Let's start with a mindset shift. So I would say that current beliefs are, or my current beliefs has been before, and I think it's a common current belief that if you work harder, that will lead to more success, and the success will lead to us feeling happier or engaged. And by us, I mean employees or people in general. But research has shown it's really the other way around. So being happier or having positive emotions and being engaged leads people to work harder, and that leads to more success. And I think this is core. So engagement and positive feelings comes before performance. So positive emotions are a business asset, not just feel-good extras on the side. So once again, having engaged employees is a business advantage. And maybe I'm preaching for the choir here as well. You know this, but having engaged employees is a business advantage. That's what we want to, tell the whole world. So now let's look at the science behind that mindset. So our brains are wired to avoid threats and seek rewards. This is the foundation of how we survive, or how we survived back in the days. We also crave predictability. We want to understand our environment and know what to expect. So conditions that improves performance and well-being are clarity, because it reduces uncertainty and lowers our stress. Autonomy, it fuels our intrinsic motivation. Also, having a voice, it builds psychological safety and trust. Recognition and belonging, it boosts dopamine, for example. And value alignment, it gives us purpose and meaning. So when these needs are met, people feel safe, valued, and empowered to perform. So when we talk about engagement, we're also talking about brain chemistry. I mentioned dopamine just now. Again, for example, it plays a key role. It's the feel-good neurotransmitter linked to both motivation, anticipation, and reward. And engagement is a positive emotional state. It's a good place to be. So we naturally get dopamine boost from small wins, achieving goals, or even getting positive feedback. But not only that, we also get it from everyday things like physical activity, getting quality sleep, listening to music we love, and also spending time with people we trust. So when we feel good at work, our brains can release or release dopamine, and that is, and I think this is super interesting, that is activating learning and performance centers in our brain. So this is what makes employees, making engaged employees work harder, better, and smarter. And that's why transformational practices work, because they create conditions for clarity, autonomy, the things that I mentioned on the other slide, but also belonging, engagement. So engagement increases, and with that also performance. I think you get it now. But so that's how engaged employees drive business outcomes. And this is the shift we need to make, from managing only service to shaping working environments. So we want to take the survey part and all the results we get from there, and then shape working environments with the tools that we have. So small time for reflection. Think about a moment when you felt truly engaged at work, energized, connected, purposeful. Feel free to share your story in the session chat if you want to. I would love to read about it. And that's the feeling. So this feeling when you felt truly engaged, that's the feeling my colleagues here, want to create, not once a year, but every day. Let's see. Okay. So last part of this presentation, of this session today, make this shift. So from transactional to transformational engagement. So what the shift looks like, and this will be repetition again, but I think I just clearly want to outline the difference here. So moving from transactional to transformational means that we are moving away from one survey or having surveys very seldom towards more listening continuously. Try to make that shift, but also moving away from having a top-down approach to a shared approach to co-create our engagement or engagement strategy. We want to move away from fixing problems to build on strengths, and more on that in a second. And from one-off actions to an ongoing progress, small steps, progress all the time. So toolkits for the shift. How do we go from transactional to transformational in practice? So I won't just leave you hanging on the other slide. I will go through some toolkits for this. So when engagement effort starts by analyzing what's wrong, as it often do, I think we end up feeling overwhelmed and stuck. It's a deficit-based approach, and it can drain both energy and motivation. So instead of asking what's broken, we ask what's already working and how can we build on that? And that is, for example, a strength-based method. There are one that I will go through today, which is called appreciative inquiry. There's also one that's called Make the Difference Toolkit, but it builds on appreciative inquiry, so I won't go through that today. And then we have employee-led engagement groups. So appreciative inquiry, it was developed by Cooper Ryder and colleagues in the 90s. It's one of the best-known strength-based approaches out there. It generates positive emotions, it gives people a voice, and creates a future-focused, hopeful mindset. So it's in itself an engaging process that will lead to increased engagement. So when people feel part of shaping the future, they're more likely to take ownership and act. So here's how the process works in 5 steps. So first you start with the definition. So you want to set the focus in a positive way. And with that, I mean, frame the challenge you have before you as a goal worth moving towards and not away from. So for example, instead of saying reducing stress, aim for promote well-being or something similar. Step 2, discover, find what's already working. So you want to collect real stories and examples of success. Ask, when have we felt most energized at work? You're maybe in a workshop setting with your colleagues or with your team. So ask that questions to them. And then you dream. So you want to imagine the best case scenario. Visualize what a thriving workplace could look like in your organization. And also engage people in imagining this best case scenario, because that would also spark positive feelings and the future look that we want. 4th step is design, plan how to make it real. So you want to co-create ideas, structures, and habits that support this dream. And it can be, I think it should be very tangible, like, for example, let's introduce team well-being check-ins every Friday. Or say hello to at least 3 colleagues, or speak a little bit with 3 colleagues before you start your shift, to make communication flowing and get to know your colleagues better and also improve collaboration. For the last one, make it stick, destiny. So you want to celebrate small wins, make it routines, make it some habit, or incorporate it in the daily work. Let people lead the way as well. Okay, are you with me? I hope so. So as for the employee-led approach, it's a bit different. So this is the other way you can facilitate in workshop setting, as I mentioned, but this one is more about giving employees an active role in engagement, and that can be a game changer, but it needs some structure. So you want to create a group of employees that are engagement ambassadors, basically. So you want to define the purpose and the role. So ask yourself, what type of skills make a good engagement representative? You want to recruit the right people. So you want to maybe invite volunteers, hold nominations, or in some way get that group of people together. And that group of people can define their purpose. You want to co-create direction. And this builds ownership from the start. And then you also want to equip the group, provide onboarding or training. You also want to set clear success criteria to be able to reflect and also show visibility to the rest of the organization. And you also want to celebrate contributions, recognize and thank the ambassadors. So this works for several reasons. People trust peers more than top leaders, according to research. It also builds autonomy, a core driver of engagement. It sparks purpose as people feel they're part of something bigger. It also creates ripple effects. So it's inspiring others and reinforcing a culture of participation. So it's not about HR owning engagement. It's about making engagement a shared responsibility. So a summary on this slide here, we've explored 2 approaches to engagement. Engagement isn't just about service, it's about how people feel, act, and contribute. And to shift gears, to make the shift, you can use different methods. Start small, stay consistent, and build the culture that you want to see. There's a bunch of research on this. I'll go through it quickly. And I would love to connect on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out if you want the full list of references that I just clicked through really quickly. There's a bunch of good reading there. If you have any questions, and I'm on LinkedIn because my time is soon up, don't miss out on the last session for today. Sophia and Brian from actionable will talk about engagement at scale. And thank you so much for joining.